Which comes first, flat sketches or fashion illustrations? Whether you're drawing for your portfolio or if you're a home sewist drawing before you bring that item to life, it's important to decide which type of sketch you want to start with, fashion illustration or a flat garment sketch. So by now you already know the difference between a fashion illustration and a flat garment sketch. So the debate, which one to start with? Well, if you're making a portfolio, a lot of people like to start with that fashion illustration because it can be the biggest item on the artboard. For example, let's say you're making a really big evening gown and it takes up a lot of the artboard. By starting with that fashion illustration, you can get a better visual for how much space you're allotted when you resize those flat sketches. So in the past, when I was creating portfolios, I would definitely start with that fashion illustration sketch. But now, with so many more years of experience working in the garment industry, I would always start with a flat garment sketch. And the reason why is because now I'm very attuned to those proportions and how it looks on the body. So you might know that I am a little bit biased towards starting with that flat garment sketch because I do think of that garment making process as a technical step. I like to get the proportions down in my head before I would go into styling, like a fashion illustration sketch. And this is the biggest reason why I really focused on flat garment sketches with the fashion design book. I think that once you really get used to those proportions, especially if you've customized your croquis, it's definitely going to help you understand before you bring that product to life. Trust me, it is so much easier to redraw something quickly than it is to re-sew it and cut it and do all of that. And by getting that design out of your head and onto paper proportionately, that's my preferred method to start. The other thing is, if you do start with that fashion illustration first and that's what you're used to, that works great. You can continue on with that process. I would definitely recommend though to continue honing in on your skills in making flat garment sketches, especially since so many different brands utilize those flat sketches more than the fashion illustrations. Plus, you can always resize those flat garment sketches to make them fit on the artboard regardless of how big that fashion illustration is. If you're designing for a specific client, it might be helpful to do both options, that fashion illustration and the flat sketch. The flat sketch can be a little bit difficult for some people to visualize how the garment's going to look because that flat sketch is more two-dimensional. So that fashion illustration can really help get that buy-in from your client so that they're pleased with the direction that you're going as a designer. Here are some tips in mastering your garment sketches. I want you to really start looking at your garments and start to think of maybe the way they might have been constructed. So for you home sewists, this is going to be easy because you probably already do this. But for aspiring designers, you might not really be familiar with the sewing process yet. And that's why you should start looking at those garments in depth. You're going to be looking for things like top stitching, the way things have been folded over twice for the hem. You're going to look at different design details on the garments and different trims. Always consider how you get yourself into those garments. Is it buttons or zippers? Does it go over the head like a pullover? Start thinking about those things as you create those flat garment sketches or fashion illustrations. Understanding the garment's construction definitely strengthens the capabilities of a designer. You can also refer to the entire library in the book that goes through a lot of the terminology based on the sketches that are there. So I'm curious, what do you like starting with? The fashion illustration or the flat garment sketch? Let me know in the comments below. Continue watching the videos in this series, which are linked through the QR codes in the fashion design book. You're getting through this step by step, and I hope you're really enjoying this process. If you don't have your copy of the fashion design book, you can find it through the links in the description below. It's sold on Amazon and most online book retail stores. I'm Gina Renee, and I teach online pattern making and design courses so that you can design and sew clothes you love that fit. I hope you've enjoyed today's video. If so, like and subscribe, and I'll see you in the next one.